Well, you made it to part 5, huh? Now this is the fun stuff, the video about shooting and aiming, and I'm going to show you several elements of the shooting mechanics in PUBG. Many aspects go into these mechanics. Accuracy, finding your DPI in the in-game sense, is paramount. The guns, the attachments, aiming and tracing a target, flick shooting, bullet drop, armor and limb damage, leading your target and disciplining your movement. This is all extremely important to make sure you can fire precisely. Here's a good example of TSM Viss showing the precision that he has here. He lines up his shot, and knowing that the Kar 98K from that distance can hit directly where he aims up right on the head and boom, gets the headshot. Then he switches quickly to his assault rifle, watches a vehicle drive by and he traces it. As you see, he aims ahead of it. He knows the distance and pretty much every shot connects on that target. It's amazing. Here's another example of flawless trace shooting here by Shroud. You see that he's aiming slightly ahead of this vehicle. The closer it comes, the closer he aims.
Bro, we need their loot.
You'll see he's always predicting the movements and he's aiming ahead. He's very comfortable with the M4 and its bullet travel, and thus he can easily take these enemies out of the game. You also notice that as the enemy gets closer, he removes the ADS and just goes straight hip fire. This is because he can't trace the vehicle in the ADS because of the sensitivity modifier. So using hipfire makes it much easier to trace and eliminate that target. And also knowing when to use hipfire is paramount. Here's some examples of flick shooting, which is when you aim quickly onto a target in combination with the reaction time. It's much easier with a high FPS, which is why pro players want a high refresh rate monitor. This takes a lot of practice. Shroud here just makes it look easy. I even have to rewind the clip so you can see just how precise and how quick he is. Recoil control is another element of the shooting mechanics you need to factor in. Practicing and getting to know the weapons and your sensitivity will help tremendously in this area. Specific weapons and attachments are paramount in aiding in reducing the amount of both vertical and horizontal recoil. It's always a safe bet picking up a comp and a grip, on pretty much any gun, and I highly recommend it if you're going to be doing some full auto spray. As you just saw in that clip, Shroud just fired a full auto MK14 with an 8x scope. It required him to pull his mouse all the way down the mouse pad. Because of the higher zoom, there's increased animated recoil, which makes it much more difficult to control. As you see here in this clip, Viss goes from semi-auto mode from far away to switching to burst and pushing the opponent. He needs more DPS. He wants to destroy this guy once he gets close enough. The M16 burst is no joke, and it's actually really hard to control, especially at this range, but Viss makes it look pretty easy because he's very comfortable with this gun. With PUBG and the shooting mechanics, there's no one-size-fits-all technique. Learning the guns and the ammo types is very important. 5.56 is naturally a smaller bullet, but it travels much faster, and it's also better at penetrating armor. 7.62 will hit harder and provide more stopping power, but you're going to need to lead the target a little bit more. And obviously the bigger bullet is going to be much harder to control. For example, the AKM. Although a beast up close, without a comp it's very hard to fire on full auto. So there's many elements to the shooting mechanics in PUBG. This is what I love about the game. It's very realistic in that sense. It's also very difficult. There's a high skill gap in the shooting, and it's going to take a lot of practice. Experiment and find what works best for you. And that's going to conclude part 5. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for part 6, where I'll be going over weapons and attachments and letting you know what the so-called meta is after 1.0 release. Again, thank you guys so much. Please subscribe to the channel and I'll continue to bring you guys value and up your gameplay as much as I can. Peace.